Thanks everybody for showing up. It's been a really exciting couple of days. So if you've been to a hackathon before and gotten to spend all night long working, coding, and spending time with your colleagues to come up with something genius that folks like these will get excited about and write you a big check for, then you know this is the most important part of the weekend when we make those announcements. So we're going to start off with a little session with our sponsors and have some questions, and then we'll get right into the awards. That helps build up the suspense for those people who are waiting to figure out if they've won or not. So if we can have our friends here from Amazon, AWS, come up, and here Technologies, and our co-sponsors, SiriusXM Connected Vehicle Services. So we had a total of 273 people register for the hackathon, and 140 or 105 folks showed up and put together teams. Some of the people that showed up had teams in place, and there was some matchmaking that went on, and we had teams assemble right on the show floor. And a total of 22 projects were submitted and judged by our judges here. So we'll start off with a few questions. We've got Chris Wenneman, Director of Alexa Auto here. Dean Phillips, Worldwide Technical Leader for Automotive and Manufacturing for AWS. So maybe we start off with Chris. The first question is, why is innovation so important to Amazon?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you for having us. And innovation is super important for Amazon, really towards our fundamental leadership principle around customer obsession. We really believe that we try to innovate on behalf of customers. Customers are wonderfully discontent with the things that we do and always want it to be better. And this is kind of fundamental to Amazon as well, that by focusing on the customer as opposed to competitors, we look at the problems that customers have, the wants and the needs that they have, and then innovate on their behalf and do things that make sense for customers. And we're willing to be misunderstood for long periods of time as well, because we do believe that by focusing on the customer and working backwards from the customer, we really can solve real-world problems and simplify their life.
Right. Dean, you got to see a lot of really cool things in the last couple of days. So of the things that people developed, or the interactions that the developers had from you, what are some of the things that people can learn from developers out there in the world?
Yeah, well, we had a good opportunity to work with the developers as they kind of address the challenge that automakers and people working on mobility services are facing in the industry right now. We're trying to help foster the transformation that we're seeing with new skills that are important to the industry, specifically around Internet of Things, machine learning, advanced IoT, and analytics. So these are all technologies, even digital assistants like Alexa. How do we weave these into the mobility experience that customers have, and for the products we're trying to develop to address the challenge we had for the hackathon. So we see lots of opportunity. We saw lots of cool projects, addressing electrification, range anxiety, and really some cool things around tokenization to sort of incentivize eco-friendly travel. So, really excited to be here and to see the great projects that everybody's developed, and looking forward to see how it changes the industry. Excellent.
And then we've got Niles Kuntzes from Here Technologies, heads up account sales for automotive sales for them, based down here in Southern California as well. So I don't know if you've been at a hackathon before, but for this particular one, what are some of the things that were highlights for you from your experience here?
Sure. So this was actually the first time I had ever participated and had any interaction with a hackathon. So it was really interesting for me, kind of coming in with some I didn't want to have any preconceived notions about it, and just wanted to kind of see what was going on. I think first and foremost, the thing that was really impressive to me was this idea that the concept, the competition of a hackathon is really good for the automotive industry, and I think it's good for the technology industry in general. But looking at it from my customer standpoint and the automotive side, and these I think the individuals that participated, there were 22 teams. They really had this creativity coming into it, and I was really impressed by their ability to kind of get their arms around, talk about interoperability and being able to take all these data sets and this information that was presented them, on Sunday morning. And so you had stuff from AWS, you had Here Technologies, our location services, SiriusXM, data set from LA, and then Alexa. So basically they were handed the tools, and then they tried to figure out how they were going to come to bear with some kind of service in a relatively short period of time. I was joking with one of my other colleagues, saying that it was kind of like the Apollo 13 scenario there, where they were trying to come up with some kind of device to save the astronauts. I mean, maybe that's a little drastic, but the idea that the teams went into it with this kind of mission approach to figuring out, here are the tools, here's the deadline, and we need to figure out how we're going to address that. So I thought that was also really interesting. Then from the standpoint of, from my automotive customers looking at it, where they have a responsibility, they're going to be awash in all sorts of probe data and sensor data, and they really need to figure out, ultimately they want to monetize that data, but there's also the ability of being able to, improve the driver experience, of being able to improve safety, of, other things, reducing congestion, those kind of things, which are also really important. And the approach of the competitive approach of the hackathon really does something towards focusing efforts in that direction. So I thought that was also really great.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring coming and seeing these guys work, 24/7 and come up with some of these amazing ideas. We also have Victoria from our friends at SiriusXM Connected Vehicle Services. Victoria heads up product management there. So I've got a couple of questions for you as well.
All right.
What does innovation mean to SiriusXM?
Innovation is certainly a buzzword, but I think from our perspective, we looked at three different things. I definitely echo what Chris said about obsession with customers. It's innovation with utilizing the technology, but really technology as just the enablers to make people's life better, and in our case, make them safer, because driving is a dangerous thing every day. And then the second aspect of innovation really is on the business model itself. As a white label provider in the connected car space, we don't touch sort of the end consumer directly. It's through the OEM brand. So that sort of almost forced us to be a little bit creative on potentially looking at the various different business models that's available there. And the third piece is actually an innovation on, I would say, culture. Our culture as a acquirer company before SiriusXM came in was also a very, I would say, steady, traditional OEM model based, but with the infusion of the SiriusXM satellite streaming radio and the Pandora and the Automatic Labs acquisition, is a fusion of what can we make that's really good and good elements from each one of the divisions and make it even better for the whole company. So on many different levels.
Yes, exactly. Well, and I think that's one of the really important things is we all here are sponsors, but we also learn a lot to kind of bring back to our own companies.
Absolutely.
And customer efforts. So what are some of the challenges that you got to see the teams contending with over the last couple of days?
Oh, on the hackathon itself, I think I was there for other than going back to sleep, the 36 hours of there. During preparation, one of the things that we've observed was that based on the use case and the challenge that they were given, there was this grand vision of, wow, we can solve for world hunger. We can solve this big question. And it was really hard for each one of the teams to narrow down to something that's very concrete that they could execute and demonstrate within a short period of time. And the second piece comes into the presentation, the preparation. They put in all the hard work in making the demo, making something works, and they were only given 4 minutes. So what we realized is that the teams that have prioritized their demo, have made their demo the hero to show the judges, really illustrated and really get the point across, and leaving sort of the other problems and the presentation on market research and whatnot as a second piece. So those are some of the tips that hopefully for the next hackathon and other hackathons for everybody to know.
Excellent. Well, next we want to thank again our sponsors, Amazon Web Services, Here Technologies, SiriusXM Connected Vehicle Services, for everything that they've done over the course of the last couple of days. And they're not only sponsoring the awards, but they brought teams of people here to mentor the developers. They brought technology to the table and really kind of sat with them side by side to make this a really successful experience for them. They got to innovate, they got to invent things that are going to be used potentially down the road for all of the different kind of stakeholders in the ecosystem, whether it's the vehicle side, whether it's electric charging side, or the consumers themselves. And so it is something that hopefully out of all of these things that came out of the last 24 hours or so, eventually, we might see some of these things in the marketplace at some point in time. So with that, we have a video. So you always need a tee up on the video before the actual announcements comes up with the music. So I'm going to step over here. So we have several different categories. So for those of you who haven't followed, so the first one we have some category winners. One is impact, one is innovation. We have technical execution. So we're going to announce those 3 awards. We're going to announce the runner-up. And then at the end, we are going to announce the grand prize winner. So we're going to have our winners come up on stage, and we're going to also be able to hand them a nice check, each of them. So for the category winners, the first category is impact, and I would like to announce Wheels. So come on up, Wheels. So the entry here, using historical data to predict inefficiencies in battery utilization, Wheels created a smart routing app for electronic vehicle long-haul truck drivers. Drivers are able to find the optimal driving routes using an Alexa by taking into account hard brake, acceleration fuel efficiency, crash data, as well as driver behavior. Do we have our friends from Wheels?
Yes, they're not here.
They are incognito. So maybe we'll take their check afterwards. There's going to be a party. All right, well, we will get them their check later. The next category is innovation. And the winner of the Innovation Award is King of the Road.
Yes.
King of the Road created an app that scores roads for electric vehicle efficiency based on historical data. They created a product that gamifies the driving experience. Drivers are incentivized to get the best score to positively influence their driving behavior. Congratulations. All right, we will get you your check shortly.
Congrats.
The third category is technical execution, and the winner is Adam. Team Adam produced an app utilizing Alexa in the car. The goal of the app is to reduce the anxiety EV drivers face when looking for chargers. Directions can be obtained via Alexa and will calculate distance versus EV range. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And each of these winners will receive a $1,000 check for their contributions, and they're winning the categories. The next category is the runner-up category, which is a $5,000 prize. And the runner-up is Reroute. The objective of Reroute's product is to reduce air pollution and encourage the use of electric vehicles through an eco-friendly routing framework. The tool incentivizes drivers to take eco-friendly routes and rewards them with tokens that can be redeemed. For example, they can be used to reserve an EV charge station. Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations, guys.
Nice work.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
And now for the grand prize winner. The grand prize winner receives a $10,000 check. And the winner of this year's 2019 AutoMobility LA Hackathon is Grid Smarter. Grid Smarter seeks to stabilize the electrical grid when saving drivers money. The tool finds the optimal time to charge EV, as well as provides incentives to consumers. Consumers can earn points if they allow their vehicle to draw less energy than when the grid is overloaded. Congratulations, gentlemen. Nice job. Oh, in the middle, in the middle. All right, thank you again for all of your contributions, all of the developers, all of the hard work and time and energy and amazing ideas. And thank you again to our sponsors, AWS here and SiriusXM Connected Vehicle Technologies. And thank you all for being here this afternoon.